Namaskaram to everyone. We welcome everyone to today's program. Today it's a special program that is happening under Ranjani Memorial Trust. So far since July, our Guru Sri Aravinda Hebbar sir has been conducting the Carnatic Music Road Travelled series, and so far we have completed 22 episodes. Just last Sunday, Sri K.S. Kalidas sir had spoken about Pallan Subramanya Pillai. First of all, we as students would like to thank Aravinda Hebbar sir for conducting this series, where he explains the life story and the careers and the music of all the great musicians, the legendary musicians of the past. As students, this has inspired us and motivated us a lot, because we had just heard about these greats through books or simply just snatches of stories. We did not have a complete picture of their life, their music, their careers and all. And the way Hebbar sir just narrates it as if it were happening before us only, it gives us that whole picture. So the musicians they become very close to us. We feel as if we are very close to them. In books we don't get these kinds of feelings, because we just tend to be we understand the information, we collect the information, it just stays at that. So this has helped us a lot in that sense. It also inspires us very much to hear about the kind of practice that they used to do, and that we are supposed to be doing, we should do and all. So in today's program, we will try. We have some questions regarding the general music of the past century. Sir has just covered musicians of the past century till now. So we will ask them to sir, and he'll try to answer. And if our viewers, if you have any questions, you can also put it up in the live chat. We will try to give it to sir, and he will answer the questions. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Before that, I would like to introduce my two students, Samanvi and Archana, who have been tutelaged in Latangi house here since 2013, after the demise of my daughter Ranjani, and they have been practicing well, and they are listening to my lectures ardently and have been very serious about the musings of these musicians. So I wish them good luck, and I also wish all those who are learners and aspirants to improve upon their own fields, especially music field. And I am threatened that these people have some questions with regard to the life and music and practices and labors that the earlier musicians had, which I quoted quite often in my lectures earlier. So I am posed with so many problems, perhaps, that these two students, as representatives of all you people, are now asking questions. I will try to answer if I know. Please.
So the first question is, when you have been telling the stories, we have come across this factor wherein the mic was invented, or it was people started using mics for concert. We have heard that this invention changed a lot of aspects in the music in general. Before, it was very kind of rough, because people could not grasp the nuances which the musician was singing because of the distance and all. So once the mic was introduced, all the nuances that the musician sang would be it would reach the mass audience. So we have heard about all these things, but can you explain in a specific way if a musician's style has been changed because of the invention of the mic specifically?
Like how a musician, an individual musician adapted to the advent of the mic.
I understood.
Yeah.
Actually, to give you the answer, you may have to wait for a few more episodes.
Okay.
Because I have just come to 1916,
Yeah.
where mic was not used at all. Of course, that is the birth date. In 1920s, 30s and other later years, gramophone records came and mic came.
Yeah.
When mic came, it was a revelation. And the musician used to just stare at the gramophone record that a mute disc is giving a sound of his own.
Yeah.
And it was a revelation. But he found that his voice was a little bit changed. I don't say mutilated, but changed. So, though the voice was changed, their ego got boosted because they could see an inanimate object singing
Yeah.
in front of them, which they sang a few minutes earlier. So they accepted. Most of them accepted. But certain Puritans or those who could not accept the mic as it is, they started saying that our voice gets mutilated. It is not the real voice.
Yeah.
In the real voice, we are having the genuine vocal production as well as the instrumental production. And thus, there were certain criticisms from musicians as well as from the critics that the voice will be different, the sound production will be different. Especially when it came to Veena, many Veena performers did not agree.
Yeah.
They did not agree. And I have already made a mention. Palghat T.S. Mani Iyer was the one who did not agree at all. And till the end, he just avoided it.
Yeah.
And even in his letterhead, he wrote, those who are calling me should not give mic to the concert. In the letterhead, he just wrote it. 1930s, walkie-talkie movies all came. Shakuntale film came, and it was a big
Success.
phenomenon. It was a big phenomenon. And in 1940s, Dr. M. Balamurali Krishna, a young lad from Andhra, used the mic. Of course, he was not the first one,
Yeah.
but used the mic in an innocent way in the beginning, but very serious way at the later stages. And he had a very low volume of the voice. And he started using all the manipulations, intonations and articulations of his voice suited to the mic. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The original voice was not heard by many.
Yeah.
Only the mycogenic voice, which was having an output from the sound system, were only heard. M.S. Subbalakshmi, D.K. Pattammal, M.L. Santakumari, Balamurali Krishna. They were all rising like anything because of the rise in the use of mics. Previously, the Tala-oriented connoisseurs were striking on the lap or the thigh to such an extent that the directors who recorded it prohibited them to do that.
Yeah, disturbance.
So, without this, the Tala would just tilt or may be a little bit disturbed. So it was cut. And this started, you have to come nearer to the mic. You should not go away from it. This fellow will just scream and say that Lord Muruga, Kamakshi, that this. And his voice will be just flown into the air rather than to the mic. the mic man will say, no, you come nearer to the mic and sing.
Yeah.
Then these people started scolding the mic people, and so there was a friction here during this time. But there was a greatest advantage that thousands of people could be reached by this small instrument, which was well received by so many people, and thus mic got established. I should say M.S. Subbalakshmi and Balamurali Krishna did a phenomenal popularity to the mic, and the use of the mic to suit their voice to the mic made them a little bit different from natural,
Yeah.
showing hava bhavas, and because they could not oscillate
Yeah.
on the stage. You see, Balamurali Krishna will be just like this.
Sitting with- Yeah.
MS Amma will be just like this. MLV like this.
Yeah.
DKP will be like this. Just go and see Madurai Somasundaram. He will be just loitering all through in the total aura of a mic.
Yeah.
You see Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. He will be here, at the end of the concert he will be there. Because they are very natural. That how, of course, mic people adjusted with the
Yeah.
Joshi phenomenon. So thus, but Balamurali Krishna, his small trills, small brigas, and the faster akarams, and the quipping of voice could be heard, even a small quip in a voice could be heard by so many people. And that enlightened the people, and they accepted that kind of production. Perhaps Balamurali Krishna and M.S. Amma made a striking milestone to make mic as the most suitable instrument to reach the people. Not to say that others have not done.
Yeah.
Now you have the best of the best performance of the mic system, sound system, and other things, almost nearer to the original voice.
Yeah.
But we should agree that it is an electromagnetic wave.
Of course.
Cannot be original.
Yeah.
So by agreeing that, we have to adjust. And musicians, listeners, and all related to this music have changed a lot.
Yeah.
After, say, 1930s or 40s, we are seeing a great change. Now there is no concert without mic.
Yeah.
But after listening to continuous mic, very recently there has been some voices where micless concerts are held.
Yeah.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle. Once you are fed up with the mic, then you will go for micless. We are seeing Veena in a different tonal quality with the mic, pickup mics. Now even the ghatam is provided with attached mic,
Pick up mics.
just like the drip. A drip wire will come into the ghatam. Days are not far to see the mic to the tawil also, contact mic. Nagaswaram is already having, saxophone is already having, violin is also already having, every instrument is already having
Pick up
contact mics. Mridangam and perhaps I don't know, tawil, they are not yet fixed with the mics. So because of this, loud noise has been in the vogue. To tell you the truth, I would say that those who are in the metropole cities, like Madras, Bangalore, Calcutta, Mumbai and other places, they have a lesser sensibility of the eardrum, and they always say, increase volume, increase volume. Because as an organizer, I know. But the musicians will just ask me to raise the volume. And it is quite normal to us. We are in the village, we are in the very cool and calm and quiet atmosphere, that it's enough. But they are not satisfied. Sensitivity or sensibility, both might have come down. That's also another effect of mic. Because everyone, violin is given to the, vocalist, violinist, mridangist, ghatist, kanjiraist, everyone will be given highest volume, and so that the total production is, it looks like music. It sounds like music. Perhaps it should be called sound pollution. I'm sorry if I just comment it a little bit harsh. Yes.
And I have one more question. Like we have seen in videos of Shemangodi Mama singing, he keeps his mic kind of this far. It will be so much far from his mouth. So we can imagine what kind of volume he puts into his singing for the mic to capture it from so far. So like if his volume is that, if his natural volume is that loud, how come he managed to maintain his voice in such a long career? I mean, there are many other musicians, and I just gave Shemangodi Mama because I've seen his videos.
That is a very difficult question to answer. Some have a very... M.D. Ramanathan will have the highest bass voice. Nothing happened to him. Kishori Amankar had lost her voice. Such a sweet and such a melodic queen. She had lost her voice once. Lata Mangeshkar did not. Manna Dey did not. As we know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Chambai lost.
Yeah.
Bidaram Krishnappa did not.
So it's subjective.
Mysore Vasudevacharya, by himself, he was not having a good voice. But he did not lose the voice. But what the practice that he had, terrific.
Yeah.
Tiger Varadacharya, he had no voice. His Veeri Boni would be very rustic. But the intelligence, the wisdom, and the intellectual approach that he gave to the Veeri Boni made people to listen. I am told that Kanchipuram Nayana Pillai was also doing the same thing. Now it's may not be acceptable to the people. But anyway, by continuous practice that you will be losing your voice may not be true.
Okay.
May not be true.
It depends on the person's voice quality.
Person's voice quality, his vata, pitta, kapha, prakriti, and everything.
Yeah.
And one more thing. If I start doing only one exercise, Sarigama pada nisa, sarigama pada nisa, sarigama pada nisa, 1 hour, nothing else. What will happen? As a scientist, biologist, I can understand that it can make certain the lower portions of the vocal cords worn out. They may lose the sensitivity. After some time, you may get coughing. And after some time, it becomes hoarse. And after some time, you may lose. I know, if I continuously chant Gayatri Mantram for 1008 times, I will lose the voice louder. If I chant it louder, because it's the same mantram. It's the same mantram. All the muscles, tendons, and the hairs present on the lining layer of those vocal cords and other things are the same. The pressure and the stress on such muscles and other tendon muscles will be the same. That means you are abrasing it with a continuous abrasive voice given to that. That means you are bound to lose. And if it is continuously done, your voice may change. Your voice itself will change, which happens when you are in the beginning. You would have sung in A sharp. Later you came to A. Now you are coming to G sharp. After some time you may go to G. And then still lower. Because as you practice and get aged, we are meddling with our muscles and vocal cords, no?
Yeah.
It's also an instrument, a finest of all the instruments. So when we are meddling with it, we have to give some proper exercises, which you do not give in the music, has to be given at some other time. What is that? Pranayam.
Yes.
Pranayam is the only one.
Yes.
And that too, certain exercises of pranayam will definitely give good exercise to all the muscles that it is toned up.
Yeah.
For that, all musicians should take some exercises for pranayam along with their normal practices. But screaming, I'm not getting, this is screaming will definitely harm the vocal cords. And perhaps one is determined, if he is one determined to spoil his voice, he may have to do that.
Yeah.
So losing the voice, it's written here. With the best of best voices. Musri, I was telling you, he had a best voice. But he too had a problem. Some lung problem he had. So, like that. You cannot give a one-to-one equation answer for that.
Okay, the next question is like, we'll just go a little bit behind in the times. When you were speaking about Palghat Mani, you gave a sketch of how the percussion instruments came to music and all that. The first major name that we see is Mapundiya Pillai.
Narayanappa.
Yeah, Narayanappa, but...
Narayanappa is the pioneer.
Okay.
And before that in Marathi dramas and Harikatha, there was mridangam-like instrument,
Okay.
which we do not know whether it is made of mud or the wood. But anyway, there was a leather used for leather, which was given as a envelope, as an envelope covering. And it was there even in the Drupad times.
Yeah.
Pakavas. So big. And they were using, they were using plastic? Huh? No, that should have been leather.
Yeah.
So Nandi Vahana, Nandi, Tumburu Narada, Nandi, when we are just sketching that figure, we have the mridangam there.
Yeah.
And what is covered there?
Of course, skin.
It should be some skin only.
Yeah.
So Narayana Swami Appa, officially we find that he has brought from Maharashtra. He is a Marathi.
Yeah.
So he brought it.
So till then we did not have mridangam in Carnatic music.
We do not understand that because
And
Dramas.
when the music was, classical music was rendered, it was rendered in front of a Raja or a Zamindar who has richness, good fortune, and can afford to give them, the musicians. So the classical music was in the jurisdiction of these two places, royal places or some zamindari places. And what was taking place outside? Were they silent? They were performing lavanis, they were performing folk tunes, they were performing harikathas, they were performing dramas and our yakshagana and all the earlier form of yakshaganas were all being performed all over South India. We find that. Savai Gandharva was in drama. Bhimsen Joshi is the student of Savai Gandharva. He learned only the Marathi songs, Marathi drama songs.
Sangeet, it's
Yeah,
called, right?
Sangeet, Marathi Sangeets. He sang that, and he became popular later. Then he switched over. He ran to Kashi or Banaras or some other place, and he learned that. Similarly, Harikeshanallur Muttaya Bhagavatar in our place, one of the doyens in Carnatic music, he was an Harikatha exponent.
Oh, okay.
He was an Harikatha exponent. Many people were very much attracted by Harikatha or drama. This person, Mampundiya Pillai, he was going to the dramas and with a big tapi, as it was called, he was using that very big instrument, which later got modified and little bit reformed, and Kanjira came into vogue. So that was giving a better production than this
Big drum.
erratic kind of production was minimized, and it gave a rhythmic sense better than the bigger instrument. Thus, we say that he is Janaka for Kanjira. And so with Mridangam. Mridangam, Narayana Swami Appa, and they are all the descendants later, Mampundiya Pillai and other Dakshinamurti Pillai and other people. So, what they first got exposed to, they were laymen. Mampundiya Pillai or Muttaya Pillai, Palani's father, they were all laymen. And they got first place along with the Nagaswaram players or Tavilkars. They got attracted. It was taking place in an open place. And they started doing some improvisations of Tala or Raga or whatever by just listening to that. Now, from the Rajashraya or from the Zamindar Ashrayas, music was simultaneously taking place here. In the Rajashraya, Devadasis were nurtured and given so much of importance, and they nurtured music in their own way. Till Vinay Dhanam, I was tracing there. And it was a wonderful music. So Vinay Dhanam represents that. Now when it comes to the other open ground music, only Nagaswaram, Tavilkars, they come. When Mridangam came, it was having a lesser tonal quality compared to the Tavil, and thus they would assemble in a small chamber or a big hall where Tavil was very loud. So Mridangam perhaps replaced it. So the situation, the social situations, the improvisations that the ear of the people got improving, perhaps made all these developments possible in a very evolving way, a very chronological way. Perhaps I have answered you. Okay.
Okay, I have one more question. Like as you said before, music was mainly performed in front of the king and zamindars and all. So is it that like the common people, I don't know if it's true or not, but they did not have that much exposure to classical music?
Sure.
Yeah. So but then after the sabhas came, all the common people could have the privilege of listening to classical music.
Yeah.
So it might have become very popular by then.
Yeah.
But then when we see the scenario now, like in the recent times, we see less number of people coming to hear classical music. So but when you hear stories about Shemangudi or GNB or all those great masters, in the books they'll be like in the village, the whole village came and listened to the concert and all those things.
Yeah.
So did classical music lose popularity again, or
Okay. All classical means shishta art. It is classical.
Yeah.
It is shastriya. Shastriya can be learnt by only a few,
Yeah.
by a class, not by mass.
Yeah.
If mass have assembled to see this class, it is possible that something is happening there. He is drumming like anything. His kudmi is just running like that. This it is just a circus for him.
Yeah. Exciting.
It's an exciting circus for him. But he would come and listen because there is no other entertainment.
Yeah.
There is no other entertainment. If Nagaswaram is just played, everyone will just flock there and would listen. Now, as time progressed,
Distractions.
so many concerts at different places, and they started giving tickets. Oh, you have to purchase a ticket, otherwise the people will just flock it like houseflies. So they wanted to just cut it down. So we ourselves have made a little restriction for this classical art, because a person who has studied classical art has spent so much
Yeah.
that an organizer had to spend some money for him. Otherwise Raja or a Zamindar would have given it.
Yeah.
Now the people have to give.
Yeah. Yes.
Otherwise an organizer has to pay the money. From where? Is he mad? So he has to collect money. So he started collecting money. Then there was a screening. Public started sorting out.
Yeah. Yes.
Those with money, affordable money, with so much of passion for music, they came and listened and went. But those who did not, by overhearing from the crevices of the walls or on the top of the trees, whatever that they heard, they got satisfied. And those who found that it is not possible, they remained at house. So we ourselves made a partition.
We distanced ourselves from the common business.
Yeah. But it was very important.
Yeah.
Because the organizer had to pay some fees, remuneration to the artist. He has spent so much life, and it is an art. It's a big art.
Yes.
For what? For that, if Madurai Maniyar is singing Taya Yashoda, how can you keep yourself quiet? You will just go and prostrate before him if you don't have money. But if you are having sufficient money, you will just take the kadaga and give it to him. Otherwise, you will go and do some service to his house.
Yes.
So this is how an art is cultured. Art is nurtured by the musician as well as the listeners or the people who are the music lovers. They go hand in hand. Musicians without audience, he has no existence.
Yes.
Of course, there were musicians who did not care for the audience. Barring them, I am talking about the mass,
Yeah.
big mass, which you said. Tanjavur was a seat of music.
Yes.
It was zamindars, royal court, everything was there. All of a sudden, why did people migrate to Madras?
Sabha started.
Sabhas started in Madras, not in Tanjavur. Because in Tanjavur, the people were Puritans perhaps. No, this is not music. This is not music. Music means Rajashraya. He has to invite, and he has to, the Zamindar, the Chettiar, he has to invite these musicians. What is this? People won't agree. Then, okay, we will select a best place, Georgetown. Georgetown, near railway station only, central railway station. They opted for it. And all the musicians came there and got settled. And even the Britishers came there and listened to Vinay Dhanam, Georgetown Street.
So
That
probably
means
that time it reached the peak, not only of the musicians but also of the Rasikas.
there is nothing like peak. There is nothing like peak. Peak is yet to be reached. Every time we say that it is a peak. When you are plotting it out from the past, you may have to do some pyramid. Oh, then it is a peak. Every time. But tomorrow, the peak would be different.
Yeah.
Or the base could be different. So it's just a mathematics. It's a relative one. Thus, every time there were connoisseurs and trendsetters and top class musicians. Every time. We are just remembering only a few names.
Yes.
And if I say that, suppose Rangaramanuja Iyengar is still alive today. If I say that, our Sanjay Subramaniam is singing now, wonderful. What is that? You should have heard Koneri Rajapuram. He will go to Koneri Rajapuram. In his time, he was the top.
Yeah.
In my time, there are certain tops.
Yeah.
Just before that, there were MS and Balamurali and other people.
Yes.
Every time there were tops, there were peaks. Now we have some peaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time we will have peaks.
But
That means we should not get disheartened. Our music has gone. No, it won't go.
yes.
It is a continuous flow. Ganges means when Bhishma, Pandavas were there, that is actually Ganges. The Ganges which we are seeing is nothing. If you are telling that, I have no claim to Ganges, but Ganges is Ganges.
It's a beautiful comparison.
Yes. When Bhishma was there or Pandavas were there was Ganges. Bhagirath was there. He brought Ganges. He knows the root of the Ganges. It's Ganges. It's Ganges. It has come through ages. And now it has a different contour.
Yeah.
It has a different flourish. And so we are seeing Ganges in a new attire. Thus, our culture, our art culture especially, has the same kind of attainment and flow. What we are seeing is the present time. Now it has some base, some middle, some top.
Yeah.
It has a pyramid. It has a pyramid. So we shall not say that there is no person who is not born like Mani Iyer. 100% true.
Yes.
100% true. It cannot be. As a biologist I am telling, it is not possible to create one more. Our Madhvacharya told, there are no two equal leaves
In a tree.
in a tree. There are no two equal leaves in a tree. Then how can you get an equal? You won't get it. They were top in their times. Let us accept it and let us enjoy it. Why to compare it and get ourselves dissolved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the Devadasis music, they were singing mostly in temples and for maybe in courts for the kings, based on whose ashraya they were under. So did their music inspire or influence the musicians of the court? Was it different, first of all? The musicians, the male musicians who were singing in the courts, and the music of the Devadasis.
And if if there is something specifically called Devadasi music, is it still alive now in the present?
Okay, I have discussed about this at length in my 2 lectures. At length. So pious that these ladies were doing some godly work to God. And they were wedded to God. But as time progressed, the priest would have taken that lady to his credit and he married it. And then the zamindar married it.
Kings.
And king started calling them. And these Britishers came and just knocked at these doors and found that they were prostitutes within inverted commas. The first utterance of prostitution came out from them. And we believed these white-shirted, white-collared people 100%. Of course, they would have done it. Now, leave apart. This is life. What about music? They were made to learn music 8 to 18 hours a day. I was referring to this in my lecture.
Yeah.
8 to 18 hours a day. A small 8-year-old baby, lady, will be rigorously trained for tala, nritya, araga, music, instruments and harikatha, every Sanskrit, different languages. They are learned scholars. Do you know who taught them? big connoisseurs, male connoisseurs. They were gents. Gentlemen, men taught these women. And men, in fact, were in the panel of the king's court to recruit these Devadasis. To recruit these Devadasis, men only tested them and then recruited it to the court. And if at all, music is to be learned, men have to do that. That was the system there. Now we can just frown upon this. That's a different aspect. But in that time, during that time, men dominated. In honeybee society, queen dominates. Males do not frown. They accept it. In spiders community, male is nothing, insignificant. Female is very dominant. In peacock, male is dominant, looks dominant. Female is not very attractive. Male is very attractive. In human beings, female is attractive because male is dominant and he says that she is beautiful. And this fellow is given the name, he is handsome, not beautiful. The male is given the name handsome and not the beautiful. So male domination made the people to experience it. They had muscle power, so domination was quite natural. And thus, Devadasis, though they were the treasure house of art, they were not allowed to teach as they could.
To teach.
Teach.
To their own children also.
They could.
Own children they could, but other students
could not.
Oh, okay.
Remember, Vinay Dhanammal, Kamakshammal, Brindamma. Brindamma and Muktamma, they were sent to
Kanchipuram.
Nayana Pillai. Kanchipuram, Nayana Pillai. The great celebrity mother, Amma is here, grandmother is here, Vinay Dhanamma is here. But the practice that the society was in exposure was that their talam is wonderful. These females cannot put that. They are very gentle and they're... So there is some force there and some valor and vigor, which was accepted as it is by the people. And thus, they adored Kanchipuram Nayana Pillai. So Kamakshi Ammal, she sent her 2 children to Nayana Pillai. All the 3 children were under the tutelage of Nayana Pillai, not Vinay Dhanammal. Dhanammal was angry.
Yeah.
She did not agree.
Yeah.
So there is no music in my house? She uttered. It was an insult.
Yeah.
But after coming back, the children started learning under Vinay Dhanammal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Dhanammal broke the barricades of these Devadasi types of all the shackles. She taught so many people. I had told you, even Musari Subramanya also came to learn from Vinay Dhanammal. She was such a angry lady and very tough lady. And she filtered so many musicians during that. And thus, those who could survive and sustain only lived there or learned, and others could not.
Yes.
So, did these musicians, like you mentioned, Musuri and all these people, they learned songs from her? Did they imbibe her style? Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Because she was a celebrity. And the way in which Dhanammal was giving the music was considered as the ultimate music. If I talk to Rangaramanuja Iyengar, he has the highest appreciation for this lady. Highest appreciation. She is almost nearer to God. He almost equates that. And the way in which she was living also was very tight.
So, but like when we hear, like probably when we hear Coimbatore Thai, or when we hear Dhanakoti Sisters, or even MS Amma when she was young, that Marakatha Vadivu that she sang, we find a similar kind of style in the renderings. But I don't know if Dhanammal also played in the same style. But when we hear that, it looks similar. All the
high pitch. Because they had to reach so many people without mic.
Yeah.
One thing. Second, faster tempo.
Yes.
Faster tempo.
Yeah.
Because of two things. One, what we are seeing is gramophone record.
Yes.
3.5 minutes they have to finish it. Kshira Sagara Shayana. B.S. Rajayangar had to sing so fast.
Yes.
Adisiddhalesho Oda. The baby will just come out of the cradle and run out. We should not think in that way, because the situation was like that. But that reached some people because B.S. Rajayangar had that attractive power. S.G. Kittappa had that power. Chembai had that power. Ariyakudi had that power. Now, if you continue the same thing, it becomes the same old stock. You get bored.
Yeah.
You will start doing something different in your practices. A different mutation happens. Mutant may survive or may be killed. That I was telling you. So, if it survives, it becomes a very good. GNB came like that. He just broke all the earlier barricades and he came out like a king. Madurai Mani Iyer, having a different kind of tonal quality, he managed to sing with all the disabilities in his body. He managed to hold the people like anything with his just Shruti Shuddham.
Yes.
Rajaratnam Pillai, he won the entire world with the top class performances of his scholastic singing, Nagaswaram. So like that, everyone did some improvisations. So if you ask whether we are following the same Vinay Dhanammal, Devdasi system of singing, what they were singing, we cannot say that.
But those aspects are imbibed.
We will hear Coimbatore Thai. I had played that.
Yes.
It was fantastic. Sri Rama Mantram, that shlokam of Chembai is phenomenal.
Yes.
If you just start doing that, perhaps blood will come from the throat. That much of exercise they had done in the earlier times. Now it is not necessary because this is there. It is not necessary.
Yeah.
And you cannot sing without mic. Of course, only in the house when you are practicing it. So, improvisation in the evolutionary way, we have to see. Devadasis, like the last head, if we call it, Vrindamma or Muktama or Vinay Dhanammal, they were the stalwarts. Now all the people at present are just looking at this music. What is this? What they are having? Because we have managed to do all the acrobatics.
Yes.
We have managed to do all the kanakus. Permutations, combinations, wisdom, intellectual exercises, everything has been done.
Yeah.
Now, what to do? Shall we go for the slower tempo? Shall we go to just drag the line, drag the syllable? Now, Vinay Dhanammal comes to the picture.
History repeats itself.
Like that. Because our taste also will change. Since long, a peaceful, soulful music has not been given now, has not been catered on sound of music. Now when sound of music now pollutes the air, now people will, if there is a beautiful sound, a beautiful, peaceful or soulful sound, people will just, they will just give ear to that.
Yes.
It's very, very natural. So, Devadasis or Nagaswaram people or Nayana Pillai or to a GNB or Madurai Mani Iyer or who spell out any name, they are relevant.
Yes.
They are relevant. Though they look irrelevant to the times, they are relevant. That is why we always say, listen to the old doyens. You will get some idea. If I just sing like Balamurali Krishna, I may have to do acrobatics. One student has told.
It's not about imitating.
Don't do acrobatics. But you just try singing his Tayama Ragamalika Tillana. You just try. Kuntala Varadi Tillana. Just try. Then you will know what Balamurali is. M.D. Ramanathan. Don't imitate him. But take whatever, the way in which he was holding the music, it was something marvelous. MS, TKP, MLV, they did not get the name for free.
Yes.
Lalgudi, MSG, TNK, M. Chandrasekharan, Kanyakumari, V.V. Subramaniam, they did not take it free. After that, after these 6 or 7 names, a few names, are we getting any one name? Oh, that is a different type of playing. Are we telling that? Are we seeing that? We don't. We don't. That means we are following some trends. There is no trend setter as such. When GNB was in the flourish, a small Lalgudi, when he was playing for a marriage concert, GNB called. Oh, are you free on February 14th? I will be having one concert. You just play for me. That was the time.
Yes.
Because the virtuosity that the boy was playing on the violin immediately got the attention of the big connoisseur, and he was just picked up. And Alittur brothers did not tell the Talam patterns to Lalgudi.
Yes.
But they told to Palgatmani. And offhand, Lalgudi was to play for Alittur brothers for a very complicated thala. He played so fluently that he got same applause as Alittur brothers as well as Palgatmani Iyer got. How was this possible? From where did he learn? We are mentioning Einstein's or Newton's name or Lalgudi's name. What about their fathers, forefathers, their heritage? What about that? You don't remember. Gopala Iyer, do you remember? In the quiz, if I ask who is the father of Lalgudi Jayaraman, Gopala Iyer. Okay. That's all. Then what do you know and anything else? We don't. But Lalgudi, we know so little. Because he has made some stamp. He made a milestone. This is Lalgudi.
Yes.
This is Lalgudi style. What is that? Improvised earlier heritages in a cream form. This is what has to be done in our music. Every time, some improvisations, innovations, and something new to sound better.
Yes.
Raga, Ranjayati iti ragaha. It should sound better. ಅದು ರಂಜನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರಬೇಕು. ರಂಜನೀಯವಾಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಗ ಅಂತ ಹೆಸರು. ರಾಗ ಅಂದರೆ ರಂಜನೀಯವ. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ಕು, ವಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್? ರಂಜನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್. It's also raga. It also has a raga. Ilayaraja did use ragas. A.R. Rahman did use ragas. But in his own way to cater to the needs of certain
people.
Mass people.
Yeah. Yes. I have please 2 questions. I don't know if it is the same thing or not. You please answer it like however. So, like, if we see most musicians of the last century that you have told till now, we don't see many of them giving importance to Sahitya, with the exceptions of very few. And also, if we see, like, this might be related to it, but we don't see no display of bhakti as such in the musicians that you have mentioned till now. Of course, with exceptions. So, but after like after some time, this bhakti factor it became a little bit prominent, and now again we don't see much of the bhakti factor now. So the Sahitya and bhakti both, I think they're related. So can you please explain why and how?
It's a very, very big question, and perhaps we may need to sit like this for 1 or 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
Because Sahityam follows the raga. Raga is main. Sahityam follows. In classical music, Ragam is adopting swaras of known types from the scale. Where were the swaras? Swaras were, to occupy alaukika, I can say they are all in the nature. Sarigama padani, it's there. Where is it? If you just ask me, anahata nada is there. It is also made up of sarigama padani. So you have to accept them and get it. How do you do that? Who listened it first? Whether the bamboo tree or the wind or the water that was just trilling through the rocks? Which? Even the whispers and the nose which is giving out the breath will also give some sounds. You whistle, it comes sounds. So, as a careless attitude, without taking any care, some sounds were produced. And this ear was very, very attentive and picked up that tune from that sound, started mimicking it or imitating it. And thus, he got joy. Now, when he got joy, then he started playing it on a flute, which was quite ancestral one. And with fingers on the holes, he could get the different swaras, and he identified these swaras. And in Bharata's time, Sarigama Padani and the intricate 16 notes and the intricate 22 Shruti Vedas were all identified and sorted it out and found that they are there by experimentations. So these sensitive ears conducted experiments by their knowledge and sorted out the Sarigama Padanisa. Raga came. So in the beginning, he was not knowing any Sahitya. He was, perhaps just cooing. And later, he was calling, or he was weeping, crying. He wanted to express in words, and words came as a tool to convey the message to the other party.
Yes.
And I am crying. If you are telling that, it's not crying.
Yes.
So when you cry, that cry can be mimicked or deciphered. I should use the best word. The cry must be deciphered to the word.
Yeah.
A cry must be deciphered to the word. A trance must be deciphered to the word.
Yes.
A happiness. It must be deciphered to the word. But after all, it is a word. It has its own limitation. So word cannot convey that this is crying.
Yeah.
But by seeing that word, sahityam, you can understand if you know the language.
Yeah.
Be it in Telugu or Kannada or Tamil or English. You will know. You should know the language. So by sahityam, you are conveying the message. Now your first question was, you are seeing so many earlier musicians who were not very careful about sahityam. This is quite natural that first thing, there was no mic. So it could not amplify the mistake that he was doing it.
Yeah.
Second one, they were on to the raga. And they wanted some sahityam, which was told by their guru. If you just trace back, you will go to Tyagaraja, to Swami Dikshitar, Shama Shastri, Anayaya, Uttukad Venkata Subbayar, or at the most you may go to Purandaradasa. But you cannot trace it directly. There is no direct link. All mislinks. Anyway, you can trace back to these people. Then, direct authentic report is direct from the Trinities. Or Uttukadu. Or Annamacharya. Not, it is, even Annamacharya, we don't have the authentic direct descendancy.
Yeah.
So, Valajapeta Venkatramana Bhagavatar from Tyagaraja heritage, and later Mysore Sadashiva Rao, or further the later descendants, they all told Tyagaraja Kritis. The very important thing that we have to note is, most of them became Tamilians, because Tyagaraja, Dikshitar or Shama Shastri came to Tanjore.
Yeah.
So it was a Tamilian place, Tamil place. So these Tamilians had to understand Telugu, which nobody could decipher, perhaps. And only those who were really interested, they understood the meaning and sang. Otherwise, Telusu Konti, Teluchu Konti, that would become same.
And in that time, they didn't have communications, nothing was
No.
there. So they can't understand.
Yeah, I was telling you that Chembei wanted one script from one very big musician. He did not give. So he went in search of somebody and he said, can you just give me? I have forgotten. They would not divulge. And this has greatly, really damaged Hindustani people.
Yes.
The Sahityam present in the Gharanas, they were not giving out to the others. It was only Bhatkande who just pulled it out, notated it and just spread it to the world. Otherwise, these scripts would not have been available. So these Telugu people, when they wrote, Ramani Zamana Mevaru, that became Rabbani Sabana Bevaru, a contorted and mutilated version of Samani Mevaru, because that Rabbani, this doesn't agree, because it has to be set tune for the rhythmic syllables, and during that so natural for the listeners, because only in the air they are listening. But once this came, now you are singing Rabbani Samana Bevaru. Is it a rubber or a bevaru? Set. Now people they won't listen. They would criticize. Then their next descendants improvised.
Yeah. And we have internet now.
And now you are all very, very lucky that you are getting all the scripts, all the notations, all the required facility to understand and know music better than the earlier.
Yes.
So this is the first question and perhaps my first answer. Second question is very, 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 very curious and very difficult to answer. That is whether bhakti, our music is bhakti. Bhakti Sangeeta. Now I have to elaborate so many things if we are to elaborate on this point. I have to go to the Hindustani people. I have to go to the Drupad. I have to go to the older time people. I have to go to the middle time people. And we have to see the present generation. That is only music.
Yeah.
Simultaneously with that, I have to see a Rigvedic man, a Ayurvedic man, a Samvedic man performing rites, chanting hymns from the olden times till now. There has been a change.
Yes.
When they were perhaps chanting Gayatri Mantram, they meant for it. Agnaya Swaha. They meant Agni's wife is coming, take this charu and give it to Agni. They meant for it. Do we know? Swaha means you are taking it inside. We are now having the impression that Swaha means I have to take. Why I am giving to Agni? People are asking now. Because we do not know what we are doing. Sahityam is not understood. It is mutilated in that field also, not only in this. It is quite changed there also. Every field for that matter, it has changed. Now in the case of music, they found, perhaps, I am putting it in very short, they found that music or art has something to do with creation. Creativity and creation are coupled, are together. Where?
Mooladhara.
In Mooladhara Chakram. The Kundalini Chakram, those who know all those things, they have enumerated the place where creation and creativity are dwelling in our Mooladhara Chakram. That is why creativity comes. What is creativity? A new creation of thought. An art process. What is creation in our biological sense? Producing an individual. Both are present here only. And when creation is not there, creativity will come to the surface. When creativity is not there, creation will come to the first surface. So creation and creativity are together, that there will be some disturbance of creativity because of creation. I don't say that it's a disturbance. It is sidelined for the moment. And this will take its dominant side. So creativity and creation would make some very sensitive balance for a normal, healthy person. Our people perhaps found that this has to be balanced by making ourselves that what I am singing is coming from you. What I am singing is given to you. Because I acquired that knowledge from you, and from Anahatanada I have got this Ahatanada, and from the Ahatanada I am giving it back to you. How do I do that? Sa. Now you don't see, you don't hear after stop. But did it stop? In your mind it is still ringing. Where it has gone? It has gone to the sublime. So when we stop singing, ringing is there for the music. It is there. It is still there. It is in the form of Anahatanada, it is still ringing in our minds. That means I got it from Anahata and I am giving it to the Anahata, and what you are seeing is an ephemeral, a temporary, a Bhranti, a Maya. But it's a truth. It's a music. So this is God's gift. So we should respect it. So old people said that music, if at all you are having the name of Om Namah Shivaya, Drupad will say Da Shiva 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 Dam Dham. They just twisted it to the God's name,
Divinity.
to acquire divinity, so that the person who is chanting that would always remember that he is indebted to the nature.
Yes.
Just as Swaha, Agneya Swaha, we have forgotten the Swaha, just as that we have forgotten that we have some indebtedness to this Anahatanada. And thus, we are lost. Why this bhakti? I don't have the bhakti of Rama. I don't have the bhakti of Krishna. I have the bhakti of Raga. Okay, do it. Do it with all authentication.
So, but even in the time, like the GNB Shemangudi, in that kind of time also, like we don't see many people, doing this bhakti, or I may say display of bhakti rather.
Okay. Bhakti is not to be displayed.
Yeah.
First of all, we should agree it.
Yes.
And if at all anybody has come onto the stage to display the bhakti, we shall agree that it's a faltered notion.
Yeah.
Third, we are sitting here. We are in an artificial environment.
Yes.
It's a created environment. We wanted to communicate something. That's why we are here. I am not here to advocate bhakti here. No, you should not tell. My heart will just break. And I am not telling that. You are saying that GNB or Madurai Maniyar or Aryakudi had no bhakti. Oh, it's a blasphemy. Devaninde. Hage helibitre. Nobody would agree. Even I should not agree. I am not expected to agree. I expected to agree. Because the ancestral people have made our music so pious that if you are looking at the piety, you will just dissolve yourself. You have to understand it. It needs contemplation. It needs meditation. You have to involve yourself. You have to involve yourself. Involve yourself with the heart and brain. Heart and brain. We are using only brain. And if we are not using heart. Some are using only heart. No brain. You have to use both. Only then I can sit straight. Otherwise I will just fall down. I have to use both. Thus, when I am singing music, I am using Sahitya to enumerate some evocation of bhava. To enumerate a bhava. Evocating a bhava. If it is a Sringara bhava, okay, it's a Sringara bhava. Padam or Javali. Or if it is about, even if it is Sringara, it's Krishna's Sringara to Radhe, then okay, first understand it, contemplate on it, meditate on it, and then sing.
Yeah.
If you cannot, don't blame it that our music is not Bhakti Sangeeta.
Yes.
Don't blame it. Basically, it is Bhakti Sangeeta only. We have come out of that circle and we are seeing as a remnant of the past. Ayyo, Kalevara, a dead corpse. Hindustani people don't have this kind of Bhakti Sangeeta as their classical music because of Khyal system and other things. It gave more emphasis for Shringara. And if we just look at their lifestyles and the way in which they have gone through, they are more liberal in their lifestyle than the South Indian counterparts. South Indians are a little bit strict. They would adhere to certain principles. Muddy, Puritans. They call us Puritans. Whether it is correct or not, I am not talking about. But we are. We are strictly adhering to certain dictions, sahityam, grammar, and the way in which it has to be. You have to sit like this. You have to be very. You should not leave all these hairs like this and come like. And you cannot drive on a ringing stool on the stage and sing. What is that? Vrindana Sarang. Rangapara Vihara. You cannot sing on a ringing stool on the stage, and you cannot. You are not supposed to leave the hair like that. You have to make a kudmi. Do it. But why do this? No, is it bad?
We don't know.
I am not talking about these things. But that freedom in the long run has so many attributes of bad qualities which could be imbibed by the person. It has all potential to imbibe certain negative points from all around. Our ancestors perhaps, they found out, and they said, restrict yourself. Sanyama. Niti sanyama. You have regulate yourself. Otherwise, you will lose. Instead of creativity, you will start producing only. Creation only. Then, do it. Sanyama. Chambai was like that. Madurai Mani Iyer was like that. All the musicians were like that. You may have the question in your mind. I don't want to answer. And I don't want to listen to their life aspects at all for that aspect. Some musicians had 2 wives. Some had so many wives. How many wives T.N. Rajaratnam Pillai had? I told you, no? Yes. Darwin had 1 wife and 10 children at a stretch, one after another. Is he bad? No. Now for the present, 10 children, frown upon. Why? Why your grandfather has done mistake? No. That's a different arena altogether. We have to have a different perspective to see such things. Otherwise, we get confused. Our Dakshinadi Sangeetam or South Indian music or Carnatic music is basically framed in bhakti patterns. So when I say Tyagaraja Vinuta, Subbulakshmi may just do this on the stage. Is she, no, is she in bhakti or not? Why are you so worried about it?
Yes.
Why are you so critical and analytical about that? Let her do that. Give some freedom to do that. Papa, she was doing that in the house while practicing, and automatically without her knowledge she just... why are you so critical? Why are you commenting on that? Madurai Somasundaram, Muruga, he will weep, and next time, my God, his voice, it goes to the top of the people tree. I have heard. Yes. He's such a marvelous singer. And we criticize it. If you do not want, you just go out.
Yes.
You need not criticize, because it has its own depth. It has its own warmthness. It has its own bhakti. What bhakti? You want any definition for the bhakti? Is there anybody who has given definition for bhakti? Yes. One definition is there. Devotion. The poor English word devotion is the only alternative word which I can tell for bhakti. Devotion. But bhakti is not that. Still more there. I don't have the word. What to do? I don't have the word. So, please do not be under the impression that our music is not without bhakti. It has. We have not excavated it. We have forgotten it. We have not excavated it. And by raga only, if you are able to reach the bhakti, do it, please. Only raga. I don't want. If you say don't want, there is some negation. There is some negation in you. First, drop it out. Don't want means you are bigger. Ego is more taller than you. That's why you don't want. You don't worry about it. You go on doing it in raga. Then you will one day you will feel that I should communicate my appeal to somebody. Swami, one word is enough. Then Swami will come in a new attire in that raga. Is it not? It will come. It will come. Manasu nilisudu Manasu nilisudu balu kasta Manasu. Why this cannot be understood and contemplated and be turned into a devotion? No God has come here. No God has come here. It is very difficult to hold the mind. That's the Manasu nilisudu balu kashta. Okay. Begada is there. Sahityam is there. If you understand that, then it's very difficult, no? I am thinking of some mobile messages now. Can you do that? If you do that, you are gone. It is kashta. Manasu nilisudu kashta. It's very difficult. So many things will just flock into our mind that we get disturbed. So instead of that, contemplate on this, on the Sahitya. Now it elevates you. Now it takes you to a different domain. It elevates you. So this is a tool which has some limitations. An aeroplane is a tool. It elevates. It has limitations. You cannot come out of the aeroplane at the higher altitude, at 11,000 feet. You cannot come out. You will be freezed to death. Or there will not be any air. You will be died. That means a tool is always having some limitations. Sahityam has limitations. You have to transcend it by contemplation, meditation, and involving yourself in that idea. So this is one, becoming one or internalizing with the music.
Yes.
Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, those who are really mad of music, they are also mad, just like any others. Some are mad after films, crickets, sex, playing, reading books, or some God. They are mad. They are mad after God. They will sing. They are mad of music. By music, they are transcending themselves. By reading to the novels, one will transcend. By playing cricket, one will transcend. In sex, one will transcend. Okay, it's also transcendence. Now, Paramahamsa says, a musician will have the last but one word in the madness. Huchara aspatrele, last but one word. Last word is Devra madness. Then you are relieved. Next, you are ready for relief. Not relieved. You are ready for relief. But this music word is before that.
Previous.
Just one word earlier to the God's madness. So let us understand what these people have told. And when we understand and meditate, we will have the devotion in our mind. And once it is understandable to the mind as well as to the brain, they will balance. They will balance. And you can definitely reach to the best of the music possible.
Yes. Now, I actually have a few more questions, but the time is late.
You can ask one question.
Yes, okay. So, this one question is that the other day when we were speaking, you mentioned that the greats of the last century, they did not study under Guru for a long time.
Who?
The greats of the last century, like Shemangudiji and all these. But they still had their own distinctive style. They still had a lot of insight into the music. Knowledge of the music. So, but also they didn't even have this kind of exposure to different sorts of music that we now have. But still nowadays, the disciples stay under the guidance of the gurus for a very long time compared to what was there in the previous generation. Can you explain how it might be?
Oh yes, I can. Patnam Subramanya Iyer and Mysore Vasudeva Acharyar were together, and for 1 or 2 years he did not get any lessons from Patnam. He got faded, he got belittled, he got frustrated. So then, Gurugale, what should I do? Then he was doing all the household works. Then he started giving lessons to from Begada, Varna. 1 line, 1 month. 1 line in Tajalam, 1 month. Then this fellow got a news that in the nearby temple, Mahavaidyanath Iyer is coming. This young lad, without the knowledge of the Guru, he escaped from the scene, from the house, and attended Mahavaidyanath Iyer's concert. Then he came back. He put the pillows and he had the bed sheet to put on that pillow so that the Guru, if he just inspects, he would say that Vasudeva is inside. This Guru came and took the pillows and found that there was no Vasudeva inside. Then this fellow came after listening to Hamsadvani of Mahavaidyanath Iyer and came back and he was very happy. Looks at the pillows and the bed sheets which were totally haphazard. Then his heart broke. Guru came, get out. Get out. Where to go? You have options now.
Yes.
You have alternatives. Vasudeva had no alternatives because the king, Vadayar king, had given the letter to Patnam, take this boy. Then he cannot come back. He held the foot of Patnam. Sorry. I will not repeat this once again. Okay, come on, boy. Listen. Then started. Vasudeva Acharya became Vasudeva Acharya only then. He was carved. He was chiseled. He was made into a perfect musician by Patnam. Oh, this is an old story. Okay. Now this did not stand the test of time later because exposures started. More people started singing and you wanted to listen. Freedom, democracy, communism, Marxism, democracy. Oh, I should listen to that also. I have every right to listen. So these things came. Then there was no Patnam like people later. Guru also changed. Guru also changed his attitude. Though by the change of attitude, then he just left students to come and freely learning. I don't teach because if he becomes a parallel to me, then tomorrow I will not be a celebrity. He becomes a celebrity. So he did not teach. They are doing all the household works because this fellow wants that. they will all do that. His ego is well flourished. And thus, all the students, disciples going together and making a big celebrity like that with the help of the students, it clicked very much. But Tirukkodikaval Krishna Iyer never taught his students. Remember this. Alettur Venkatesh Iyer took his sons on the top of the on the roof of nearby neighbor's house at 3 o'clock in the morning to listen to Tirukkodikaval Krishna Iyer, who would just play on violin to learn the music.
Midnight.
But that listening was sufficient for Alettur to learn music. They did not teach. Shamangudi was not taught by Maharaja Pram Vishwanath Iyer very officially. Maharaja Pram Santanam did not get that. Very few people, for very few years, got the training from their gurus. 2 years, 3 years, maximum 5 years, okay, fine. Then, go and listen to Nayana Pillai, go and listen to Nagaswaram, go and listen to Panjim, Tavilkar, Panjami. Like that. So they were listening. So Patnam era was over. Now exposure to so many people. They started listening and then started. So they were very serious about music. They wanted music. They wanted music and thus pursued it. And thus they got a high fruits out of it. Now you are saying that now the present time is that you have to be under the tutelage of a particular guru. I don't agree. I have seen in my times, say in 1970s, 80s, what you are saying was almost right. In 70s, 80s, in my own eyes, I have seen all people going to Guru's house as day scholars and coming back and then listening and once again going. Or Guru will go to the Shishya's house and teaching them. It was very much in vogue. But during that time only, yes, Balachandar had no Guru. I noted it. To tell you the truth, Balamurali did not follow whatever his gurus taught, except for few. There are some exceptions. But Pantulu, Ramakrishna Pantulu, you won't listen. Sripada Pinakapani, he taught Balamurali, it's his head. But I have heard Pinakapani singing, but it's quite different. Balamurali is different. From where did he learn? From where Voletti sir learned? Palghat K.V. Narayana Swami is direct disciple of Aryakudi Ramanuja Iyengar. Did he sing like him? He sang like Musuri. From where? What was he taught? And what was he singing? So, during this time, I am seeing a transition. Now, after the internet, Google and other things, E-Googlaya Namaha. This Guru, Googleaya, is the Guru. And the student is much, much more informed than the teacher. Patnam was the only source for Mysore Vasudevacharya. For K.V. Narayana Swami, there were a few other sources. Shammangudi had other sources. GNB had other sources. And thus, now, you are having a guru-less society. I don't say that teacher-less. A guru-less society is there. A guru, 1-to-1, 1-to-2. Like that we sat all these days. I think we may not get in the years to come. We may not get. It's not necessary. Because if you come here, you have to sweep my floor. You have to do the household works. which is unbecoming of myself as well as for the eyes of the people. No, it's too much. I should not expect that. I am not expected to do that according to the students' opinions or their parents' opinion. So I have to change. Then that is why Gurukula is not seen here now. It has gone to the oblivion. Now, what you have to do? Just download, cut and paste. If possible, learn.
Sir, but also there is this possibility that the students of this generation, that we may not develop our own styles, because in the older generation, because there's less exposure, they could have they had to develop their own styles, they could get that. But now, because we hear so many things, we tend to take this from that from this one, and just make it one big mixture.
I will ask one question. From where Lalgudi Jayaraman got his style?
That's something that he developed of his own.
Then you can develop, no?
But we have more exposure, right, sir?
But
now?
Yes.
Yeah, I have
By more exposures, you can develop a good style of your own. Ramana Balachandra has no proper one guru as such. Yes, Balachandra is not having. I can quote quite a few number. By slip of my tongue, I just uttered a new boy. But you can develop into a wonderful singer. Contemplation, devotion, meditation, and internalizing should give you the best. And of course, if God gifted throat is given or God gifted skill is given, you become a great. You become a celebrity. Let it not be the objective of your learning lessons. Let it not be the objective. But automatically you will become. Quality did not become a celebrity.
Right.
Lalgudi Jayaraman did not get Sangeeta Kadanidhi. T.R. Mahalingam, of all the times, neither earlier nor later, a flutist has not been born. He is not given Sangeeta Kadanidhi. Fate factor, I told you quite a good number of times. Yoga and Yogyata. They are two different factors which will later be used as an assessment for an evaluator for musicians. If you don't want that, in your attempt to learn music or attain music, you are one. Of course, it's a alaukika. It's a slightly different domain, which is not possible for me also. It's not possible. If you are in this laukika, then you have to think. You have to think how best that I can do something for this music. I don't care for others. Okay. No, I have two hands to fold and just give you a salutation. But in this Vyavaharik Prapancha world, we have to do something. Ravi Kiran sir, your own teacher, I repeatedly remember his words. It is not enough if you have talent. You have to work on it. Work within inverted commas for the present time. Not only present time. In the earlier times also, GNB worked. Shamangudi sir worked. Aryakudi worked. What work? How did he work? What work did he get? What the fruits that he got after that? Only those connoisseurs who were there have to say. And we are here to believe. That's all. I think we have talked quite a lot about Sahityam and elevating music to the realm of bhakti. I think if possible we will have a different session sometime later. which I can perhaps talk
Yes.
with more elaborations rather than so much bridging today.
Yeah.
And if people are interested, if there are any questions from anybody, okay, we shall conclude today.
So we are very grateful for Aravind Hebbar sir for clarifying our doubts and giving us so much, sharing so much knowledge with his insights about all the things. These things just did not come from the things that he read. It came also from personal experience, from the journey that he has made, a journey he is making with music for all these years. And indeed, this is very precious what we are having, what we are getting from him. And I personally thank Aravind Hebbar sir. We both personally thank, as well as Ranjani Memorial Trust thanks Aravind Hebbar sir for giving us these wonderful insights and being so freely available to us all. And we also thank everyone for watching, and thank you all.
Thank you. Hearty blessings to both.
Thank you.